Hello and welcome to NoCast by CMUBS, the podcast where knowledge meets inspiration. I'm your host, and I'm here to take you on a journey through ideas, insights, and stories that shape the world of business, research, and innovation. Each episode, we bring you thoughtful conversations, practical wisdom, and perspectives from experts and changemakers. Whether you're a student, a researcher, or simply someone who loves learning, this is your space to explore, grow, and stay inspired. Thank you for tuning in. Let's dive into today's episode and discover something worth knowing.
All right, let's talk about something that's probably on a lot of our minds: getting older and staying strong in our careers. You hear a lot of stereotypes, but what does the science actually say? Well, as we're about to see, the real answer is a fascinating puzzle.
It really comes down to this, doesn't it? As the years go by and the workplace keeps changing, do we start to lose our ability to bounce back? It's a genuine concern for so many of us, wondering if our professional mojo has an expiration date.
And here's where it gets tricky. On one hand, you have that old stereotype that older workers just aren't as adaptable. But then you look at the actual research and it's a total mess. Some studies say resilience goes down, others say it goes up. The data has been all over the place, leaving us with no clear answer. Well, until now.
Before we dive in, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. When we talk about career resilience, what we really mean is this. It's that ability to hang in there, to adapt, and even to thrive when your career throws you a major curveball. You know, like a layoff, a new technology, or, hey, a global pandemic. So how in the world do we solve this puzzle of conflicting data? Well, a huge breakthrough comes from a new study in the Human Resource Management Journal, and it gives us a completely fresh way of looking at this whole thing.
And when I say massive, I really mean it. We're not talking about some small survey here. This is based on data from almost 7,000 professionals and managers, spread across 28 different countries. That kind of scale gives these findings some serious credibility.
So, what did this huge study actually find? Well, its core discovery reveals what we're going to call a tale of two paths, and honestly, it explains everything.
Okay, so here's the big reveal. The reason all that past research was so confusing is because age doesn't just have one simple effect on our resilience. Nope. Turns out, as we get older, it actually kicks off two powerful but completely opposite forces at the exact same time. They're basically pulling our resilience in two different directions.
First, let's look at the force that kind of feeds into that old stereotype. The study found that one super important psychological resource does in fact tend to dip as we age. And that resource is career optimism. You can see it right here on this chart. Younger workers, they tend to start out with really high levels of optimism about their future. But as people move through their careers, that sunny outlook often starts to fade a bit.
So, what exactly is career optimism? It's pretty much just what it sounds like. It's our positive expectations for the future, that gut feeling that good things are on the horizon for us professionally. And according to this study, this is the resource that tends to get a little weaker over time.
But, and this is a really big but, that is only half the story. Because while our optimism might be fading, the research found that another equally powerful resource is actually getting stronger with age.
And here it is. This chart shows the complete opposite trend for what the researchers call positive career meaning. For younger workers, it starts out relatively low. But with more age and experience, our sense that our career is personally significant and valuable actually goes up.
Positive career meaning. It's just that deep down feeling that your work matters, that it's personally significant. It's not just a job anymore. It's a part of who you are, and it has a real purpose. This is the resource we gain as we go.
So you've got this incredible tug of war happening inside us. Declining optimism is pulling our resilience down, while rising meaning is pulling it right back up. A lot of the time, these two forces just cancel each other out, which perfectly explains why all those previous studies were so contradictory. They were only looking at one side of the story.
But the story gets even more interesting. It turns out this delicate balance of forces isn't the same everywhere. As we're about to see, the country you live in can actually tip the scales one way or the other. Yeah, the study found that a country's whole socioeconomic vibe can either amplify the negative effect of fading optimism, or it can turbocharge the positive effect of growing meaning. Let's see how that works.
So first, let's look at a negative factor.
If you're in a country with a weak job market and a high unemployment rate, that natural age-related decline in optimism, it gets even worse. And you can see the effect clear as day right here. In countries with low unemployment, sure, optimism still dips with age, but it's a pretty moderate drop. But in countries with high unemployment, whoosh, that drop becomes much, much steeper. It's just harder for older workers to stay optimistic when opportunities feel scarce.
Okay, now for the good news. The researchers also looked at a country's culture of education, basically how much a society values things like lifelong learning and personal development. And this turned out to be a massive factor.
And this part is just fascinating. In countries with a weaker education culture, career meaning still goes up with age, but it's a moderate climb. But in countries with a really strong culture of education, where learning is encouraged at every stage of life, that increase is significantly steeper. It seems like a society that values growth helps people find deeper meaning in their work as they get older.
So, what on earth do we do with all this information? That brings us to our final and maybe most important section, the takeaways for your career. Okay, for you as an individual, the big message here is about strategy. First, just be aware that your career optimism might naturally fade a bit. That's totally normal. But your real superpower is that growing sense of meaning, so lean into it. Actively look for roles and projects that connect with your personal values, because that's where your resilience is going to come from.
And for any managers or HR leaders out there, the takeaways are huge. The goal should be to design systems that support both sides of this equation. You want to emphasize person-job fit to really boost that sense of meaning, but at the same time, you need to provide real development opportunities to keep optimism high, no matter how old an employee is.
So, we'll leave you with this thought. You now know about these two paths, the potential dip in optimism and the likely rise of meaning. The question isn't whether age helps or hurts your resilience anymore. The real question is, how will you navigate these two powerful forces to consciously shape the rest of your career?
Thank you for joining us on NoCast by CMUBS. We hope today's episode sparked new ideas and inspired your next steps. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to follow our podcast and stay connected so you won't miss the insights, stories, and meaningful discussions coming up next. Until then, keep learning, keep exploring, and see you in the next episode.